Her excitement for business all started at the age of 12 when she received her first Franklin Day planner. 7 years later, she started her first business at the age of 19, and she has 3 different business ventures. Her high-performance practices are outlined in her book, Make It Happen Blueprint. With over 300,000 followers on social media and a weekly segment on Fox TV, she is making it happen every day. Please welcome up to the stage, McCullough.
Now, by raise of hands, how many of you have traveled via cruise ship? Okay, I traveled for the very first time on a cruise when I was an adult about 12 years ago. My grandparents paid for all of their children, their spouses, and all of their grandchildren to go on a Mexican Riviera cruise for 7 days. Now, I thought it was great because the only thing better than a cruise is a free cruise. And so I got really interested in making sure I could get the most of it. So I asked people, what should I do? What's the most fun? How am I going to handle? Am I going to get seasick? And they told me all about the fun. They told me all about the all-you-can-eat food. And they told me about how people would make little elephants and things out of towels, which I couldn't picture in my head, but when I saw it, I was like, oh. Now, what they didn't tell me in advance that I had to learn on the cruise ship was that there is also all-you-can-sing karaoke. Okay, so the very first night, we were so excited. I've got my cousins, my aunts, my uncles. We're at dinner talking about what we're going to do, and I was like, well, I'm going to karaoke. And so I get about 20 of my family members in on this fun, and we decide that that's what we're doing. Now, my husband, bless his heart, didn't take well to the cruise ship, so I went home, tucked him back to the room, tucked him back into bed, and I arrived at the karaoke a little bit late. The girl that was up was singing a fairly decent rendition of Gloria Estefan's ballads, and I thought, this party is just about to get started. And so I sat down. Now, after she was done, the DJ said, all right, how many of you loved this Gloria Estefan? And we were cheering for her, everything's great. And he said, now, who can sing it better? Now, it's important for you to know 2 things before we go on to this story. Number 1, Michelle McCullough is highly competitive. And number 2, Michelle McCullough cannot sing, but loves karaoke. And so my hand shot up, almost involuntarily, and I was ready to sing a little Gloria. I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, come on, baby. I promise that's the last of the singing. Okay, but I am dancing all over this karaoke bar. I've got some drunk people in the back going, yeah, girl, thinking I'm the greatest thing that's happened since Gloria Estefan herself. My family is cheering. What I don't have in tune, I make up for in personality, and I am going for it. I finish to a nice applause, and then the DJ MC gives me a hand and says, that was pretty good, but who can sing Gloria Estefan better? Now, I don't want to sound cocky, but no one dared raise their hand. And so then he says, okay, now we're going to have a clap-off. Now, I'd done some karaoke, and I thought that was kind of weird that we're, like, comparing people. You're supposed to let the bad people just sit down. And so me and the other girl get up, and there is this clap-off. How many of you like Gloria Estefan number 1? Clap, clap, clap. There were some very kind people. The drunk people in the back still liked her, and that was okay. And then it was me. And the crowd went wild for this poor girl who can barely carry a tune. And I sat there. In fact, there's a picture of me going, because I'm clearly getting the most applause. And then he says, we have a winner. Michelle McCullough will now be performing Gloria Estefan in our final cruise performance on the big main stage in front of 1,000 of the rest of her passengers. And I was like, hang on a second. I'm sorry I got here a little bit late. And I didn't know that's what we were doing. I was just having a really good time. I think we should let this poor girl who did understand be Gloria Estefan. And then he says, once it's clapped, it's done, lady. So I got to have an interesting first cruise experience that included costume fittings, dress rehearsals with really fancy and actually competent singers, and a wig fitting, which was really interesting, but it takes a lot to make this white girl look like Gloria. So we were ready to go. I've got my iPod helping me try to sing The Rhythm Is Gonna Get Ya, but really the nerves were. And give me a microphone, I can talk any day, but if I gotta sing, we got problems. Now at the end of this, I had this little conversation with myself where I said, Michelle, maybe we should learn from this experience. Lesson number 1, let's understand the end game before we get started. And then I started to think about other experiences that had landed me in this exact same situation, like the time that I thought that I could rollerblade to work, and then I didn't know how to use the brakes, and I ran smack dab into a telephone booth. I can't make this stuff up, people. And then you'd think that I would learn from that experience later when I decided that I was going to run a half marathon, and I started training, and on my 8-mile run, I sprayed myself with a can of mace. True story. And so at the end of that, while Michelle McCullough would like to tell you that the moral of the story is that you should know the end before the beginning, the second story that I hope that you get is that regardless of the end, that you perform and give it your all every single day, every single week, and every single month, even if you don't know where it's going to go. Innovators every single day might see the end game, but they're willing to perform and try something new completely out of their comfort zone so that they can keep their companies relevant and keep those profit and loss statements in high authority. People who are leaders, managing teams, diverse teams all across the organization can make the decision that they have to know the end game first, or they can give it all of they've got, engage with their team members every day, and move forward with power and perform to their best of their abilities. Now, I speak all over about the Make It Happen blueprint, and I think perform is one important critical piece that you do your very best all the time. But the second one that I need to share with you starts with a story from when I was 7. And I was playing in my room undetected, and I realized it was past my bedtime, and I thought, should I go tell my parents, or no, I'm just going to stay in here and play until they come in. My mom came in about 40 minutes later, and instead of putting me to bed, she hands me a plastic sack, and she said, pack whatever you can, I don't know when we're coming back, and she left. Now, I have a 7-year-old right now who, bless her heart, told me she never wants to match again, and I can only imagine what she'd put in that bag. But all I put in that bag was some underpants, a pair of pants, my brand new My Little Pony twins that I had just gotten for my birthday, and all the money to my name, which was about 52 cents. But it hung at the bottom of the bag, so we walked down the stairs past my dad, and we left. It was the beginning of my parents' divorce. And as an adult, I think I want to have a conversation with my mother where I say, could I have a different bag? After all, my grandfather was a travel agent, and we had Pan Am overnight bags in abundance in our house. But I imagine in the midst of her very own trials, she thought, get it done. You know, each one of us every single day have the opportunity to walk around with our baggage. I bet if we passed around the microphone, we could one-up each other with some amazing stories about things happening within the walls of our own homes and in our lives. And that baggage would weigh on us on every limb that we could carry. Too bad it doesn't come in a Louis Vuitton with a nice rolling leaves and all leather on the outside for all weather conditions. We carry it. But if as leaders we can understand that we're not the only ones carrying baggage, but our team is as well, we can realize that together we can do much better. You've heard of the pessimist who looks on the bad side, and the realist who sees things as they are, and the optimist who looks on the bright side. I found that it's not enough to just look on the bright side in the midst of your trials. You have to be the happiest. Happyist. That doesn't just look there, but you need to be the bright side. So regardless of your circumstances in your life, or the limitations that you think are going to keep you from the performance of a lifetime, if you remember these 2 simple principles to perform wherever you are, and not let the plastic bag principle get you down, you can, in fact, make it happen.